Hello, this is the Bent Press Masterclass. I'm gonna start sharing my screen so you can see my slideshow. Um, Here we go. Um, so this is the Bent Press Masterclass. I'm Tiffany. If you have questions at any point, let me know. I'm trying to make sure I can like see people if they want to like do little waves at some point. But like I said, drop in the chat, unmute yourself, whatever you need to do so we can make sure that you're getting the most out of this workshop that you possibly can. But first, let's just talk about what we're gonna do today. So first, we're gonna introduce me. I'm gonna introduce the bent press. I'm gonna run through mobility exercises and warm-up exercises that I like. We're not gonna go through the warm-up yet. I'm gonna have us do the warm-up and then straight into the like actual strength practicing all at once because I want to make sure your body's like primed and not sitting for like 45 minutes after doing a warm-up. And then we're gonna go through all the parts of the bent press, all the different variations you can do of the bent press, like technical variations, and I'm going to talk about dumbbells and barbells because I'm pretty focused on kettlebell because I presume that's what most people are using coming into this. And then we're going to talk about some of the mistakes and how you can bail out of any mistakes you're making mid-lift. And then we'll practice, and then we'll pop into accessories, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. And also throughout, I mentioned before, we popped on the record, but please, if you have questions, say so. I'm super, super happy to talk more about the bent press. So let's get into it. So hi, I'm Tiffany. If you're here, you probably know that. This is just sort of like my personal highlight reel of bent presses. So I first started learning the bent press in like 2017, and I've been bent pressing in some capacity since then, but I got really into it in 2021. My friend Dan was like, "Hey, you should uh do the bent press more. Like you'd probably be pretty good at that." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he like slowly convinced me to like make that my entire life. And he was right because I do really love it. So I first got my 50-kilo kettlebell bent press in 2022, and then it took me like almost a year to get it with the barbell. And my most recent PR was in September, and I got 58.63 kilograms or 129 pounds up with the barbell. So been doing this for a while, been obsessed with it for a long time. So let's do a little bit of history. I promise I won't like talk too much about the history of the bent press. It was popular in the 1800s and 1900s, like very much a circus lift. Old strongman circuses, Arthur Saxon, Eugene Sandow, Louis Sir. This is Eugene Sandow. Oh, not Eugene Sandow. Arthur Saxon. My goodness. He's the guy who holds the male record at 371 pounds or 168 kilograms. That's unbroken. And Miriam Kate Williams or Volcana, her record was 56.5 kilograms. There's possible that there's more records for women specifically because women's records were obviously not kept very well. So my friend Beth and I are kind of always looking for more records. Here is Volcana or Miriam K. Williams. There are stories of like heavier bent presses as well. Arthur Saxon has like a record of 203 kilograms or 448 pounds, but nobody actually like refers to that as an actual record when they're like talking about the world record because they were selling tickets to shows. So some of the things that they were doing were possibly exaggerated. So the authentication matters when you're talking about like the feats of strength. Not that this matters to like learning it, but it is something that I'm personally very invested in. Um, Bent press fell out of popularity in like the 30s and 40s. That's when like squat racks started to become a thing. So they didn't need to like get the bar up in weird ways to do like Steinborns or Jefferson squats or any of these other weird lifts because they can just pull them off of the rack. Um, yeah, and Ollie and powerlifting at the same time as well. So, We are going to see me bent press approximately a million times today. So I wanted to make sure you could see other people bent pressing because there's more than one way to bent press. And I try to like show a lot of variance in like my technique so you can see it more. But you're going to see a lot of me doing the bent press and in my style. So, here are some other cool people who I really appreciate who do bent press. So, here is Peter Neiman, Icebox Kettlebell. I have, when you get the replay, you can see they're like linked, so you can find them if you would like to. These are people who I really, really like bent pressing. So, this is Peter doing a kettlebell uh, bent press, very strong. I believe it's 50 kilograms, maybe 56. He's very, very strong. Um, this is my friend Peter Curtis, because yes, there are several people who do bent press, and most of them are named Peter. Uh, this is Peter Curtis doing barbell bent press off of the rack, and he's doing 200 pounds. Of that, and you can see their techniques between them are different uh because they're built very differently, and they also train very differently. Like Peter Neiman does like a lot of mobility, kettlebell sort of strength, and Peter Curtis does a lot of like powerlifting and like snatches and ollie type lifting. So their techniques may be different. This is Beth, and I mentioned Beth a moment ago as somebody who uh does um like odd lift stuff, and she is phenomenal. And this is her doing actually a two-hand anyhow, but it's the best video I have of her doing a bent press. And her technique with the barbell and even how she cleans it up is different than how I do it. And you can see how you just have to balance the bar and all of that as well. And then she does a two-hand anyhow, um, which is really rad. She does a like an odd lift person. Um, and she's phenomenal and also like knows a lot about like old-timey strongman and stuff like that. And this is Monica or Bold Fit Technique. You might see her on Instagram doing a beautiful kettlebell bent press. Um, like I said, you can see across all of this, the techniques are a little bit different. The way they're adapting to the weight is a little bit different. So I just want to make sure that you can see that there's more than one way to do it. So if your technique does not look identical to mine, that is totally fine. Like your technique might not look like mine, and we just have to find the way to adapt it to your body. So here are the mobility exercises I really like. Like I said, we're not going to do all of this mobility right now, but uh, you can see it. And then when you get the replay, these are all linked. So you can just click on these and like run through them, as well as I'll also link the like full follow along mobility video I have, so you can get all this information and do it. But we're gonna do this a little bit later, so we're like actually warmed up for the bent pressing of portion. Here are the warm-up exercises I really like. Not all of these all at once. Like all of these all at once would be like a whole workout in and of itself. But um, Turkish get up is a phenomenal complement to the bent press. It's basically like the opposite things that you're doing with the bent press, you're doing with the Turkish get up. So they work together really, really well. So like regular Turkish get ups, but also Turkish get up bent press where you're at the kneeling position and at the standing position doing a bent press. Um, get your body fully warmed up, which feels phenomenal. Armbar might be one of the ones that you, or if you're here, haven't done before. Um, it's a little bit tricky. That's one we're actually going to be doing in our warm up later. But that is one I really, really love and really helps me get into like the lat pack position. So I can actually do the bent press and not just not just side press it. Gets you into a good like mobile position. Halos, like with the kettlebell around the head, Mace 360s and 10 to 2s, also really good. Get your shoulders feeling good. Indian clubs. Same thing. Plus, they have the wrist circles, which are really, really nice for me as I do barbell, trying to get my wrists feeling solid for that. Windmills, because basically the second half of a bent press is a windmill. So that's a good way to get your body warmed up. And then swings or deads to just like get your hinge, grease that groove. And like I said, not all of these. Don't don't do all of these in one warm up, but find out what feels good for you. And like know what feels good, and also know when you're doing your actual workouts, what doesn't feel good. And that can help you be like, okay, well, maybe like my legs weren't doing as much as they should have been. Maybe we should have warmed up our legs a little bit more. And like being aware of things like that can be really, really helpful as you like progress and push yourself and go heavier. Mhm. Cool. So this is the steps of the bent press. We're going to obviously go into this a lot deeper. So first, you're going to get the bell or the bar. I'll probably go back and forth between bell and bar just because I do kettlebell and bent press and barbell bent press so often. Into a rack position, you're going to get it into a lat pack position. You're going to drop underneath the bell, and then you're going to stand up. And that is the bent press. Obviously, we're going to get into it a little bit deeper, but those are the steps that you're trying to hit in all of your bent presses. I know I've talked straight for like 15 minutes. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay, cool. So, bell to rack position is probably the easiest part to get into. It's just a clean. If you're doing with the kettlebell, you're just getting the bar up to your chest, however you need to. Um, you can do two-hand clean if it's heavy, but just a kettlebell clean up to rack position. If you're doing a dumbbell or barbell, obviously that's going to be a little bit different. Because if with a dumbbell, you kind of have to like swing it up into your rack position. And then with a barbell, you can pull it off of the rack. You can also like if you saw what Beth did, she kind of just like two-hand pulled it up onto her shoulder. And what I tend to do is like lean it on my shoulder and like curl it up onto my shoulder. And you'll see that later on as well. Uh, but that's all like very dependent. Presumably, the idea here is we're doing mostly kettlebells. So get the bell in the rack position like you would normally if you're doing a regular press. The lat pack. So this is really, really important. Once you get it to this rack position, you want to get it into the pack position. This is really gonna put you into the right position. And let me pause it here so you can see where I'm at. We're driving the elbow into like your spine, right? So you want to um, get your elbow like towards your tailbone almost. And this is also going to help you put yourself into a better like leaning position because if you're in a rack position and then you're like, okay, now I'm going to do a bent press. Here we go. And you sort of like drop yourself in. You're going to end up doing a side press. So this getting this into position is going to help like, okay, now I'm already kind of leaning, right? When you get into that position, as you can see, I'm doing uh right here. Um, the lats are like a major driver of the bent press, like one of the big drivers we're doing here. So getting into this position is going to be super, super key. And make sure you're like pushing yourself into that position. And we're not just sort of like lazily like, okay, now we're doing it. Really exaggerate, especially when you're learning the position and learning how to get into this position, like pushing into it. And you can see what I'm doing here. Like I'm like, okay, here we go. Like I'm like getting into that position in like kind of a weird and dramatic fashion. This is gonna help you get like rotate your body. This is gonna help you get into that lean. And it's just gonna be way more effective as you're doing it. Here I'm doing two different variations of it too. So I am gonna show two main variations of the um bent press with like the hinging. So mainly we have like our windmill where we're kind of like laterally doing a windmill, and then we kind of have the windmill where we're going backwards, right? So the first version I showed you here was the like lateral version of it. So let me show you one more time where I'm kind of like one foot out. We're doing a windmill like this way, versus the other version, which we'll get to in a second, where we're fully like rotating back. And there's not like a right or wrong with these two versions. Both versions are totally fine. It's really just about finding the version that feels good on your body and like works with your body because this isn't like a super easy or normal position to put your body into. So finding which version of that like feels comfortable and which version of that is going to like actually get you into the right position just takes time and effort. And then also like building your mobility over time. Like this isn't a position that I was like my first bent press. I was like, let me get all the way back, my elbow into my tailbone. This is, years of me being deeply obsessed with this lift and like practicing the mobility to get into this position. So, building the mobility through your shoulders, building that mobility through your thoracic, will super benefit it. And then also just practice. Questions about the lat pack at all? No? Cool. Sweet. All right. So getting under the bell. Um, the thing about the bent press is that it's not actually a press. I know it's called a bent press, but we're actually like not pushing the bell up so much as we are pushing our body underneath the weight. So, that is what I'm showing here, and I have videos from me from like various years showing. But you really, really want to maintain that connection of your body and your bicep to the you want to maintain the bicep body connection as much as you possibly can, and you're dropping your torso underneath the bell. And I'm gonna say it again, we're not trying to side press it, right? We're not trying to just like we're here and then we're just like pushing the bell up. We're here and when we're dropping our body underneath the weight. And you can see like how close my arm is to my body for like the majority of the lift. Um, the hips are shifting and moving to create the space as well. So that's part of the hip mobility that we'll be doing as well. So that's why the windmill position is important because we don't want to, if we don't have the space to drop underneath, you're going to get stuck. And then you're going to have to press it out. Or drop your hips a little bit. So, and we'll talk about that as an option as well in a minute. But trying to maintain that connection for as long as you possibly can, and then dropping your body underneath. Uh, and the arm is like basically like kind of like peeling off. In theory, our goal is that the weight stays like at the same spot the whole time. Like the bell is like basically at like one line, and then we're just like dropping our body underneath the bell. You can see it moves a little bit, but the bell is not being pushed upward, right? The bell is staying right in this angle, and I'm dropping the torso underneath it. Right there, and I'm dropping the torso underneath it. Um, and having that mobility through the hips, super, super important. Finding the mobility that works for you in this position also, like I said, like I have a pretty solid like lateral hip mobility. That might not be like super doable for you for the first time. And see, and just you drop the hips underneath it. Any questions about this part of the lift? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, okay, this is related, semi-related. I'm just curious about like proportions,
Hmm.
uh, because I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
And like, is there like an ideal, like I would imagine longer arms, because I'm just thinking somebody with like real short arms, like is probably never gonna get like a super deep position here.
Yeah, yeah. So I think yeah, probably proportions would be helpful. Like I think there's probably I'm probably weirdly built for this lift. Like
You
that's
seem
probably
like
yes, I'm
perfectly built for
probably like
it.
weirdly built to be good at this lift. Like if you went back, like and you saw Peter Neiman, the first person I showed, Icebox Kettlebell, he's got really long arms. So like he's like a long person. So like yeah, I think that definitely has a effect on the technique. It just also means like your technique will have to like shift a little bit to like accommodate where your body's at. And also, like I'm gonna talk about like dropping the hips a little bit as well in a moment. So and I'll have videos of that, so that should help as well. But that will probably be more part of the be more a part of your technique versus like my technique, just to like adapt to that. But also like thoracic mobility is like a huge part of that as well. And building that and like I'm sure I'm sure if you're here, you've probably seen me post that like very first bent press video I've done where I'm like side pressing and it's like really terrible and it's all shaky and I'm pretty sure I have it in here at some point as well. But like part of why that was bad is because I was just like, okay, here we go, and I'm just side pressing it and didn't have the mobility to like get into the position where you're like in there. Because when you're first going here and you get into this position, like I can feel my lats engaging in this position already. So you should be able to feel that immediately, and that will help. But yeah, no, having like longer proportions, you have an easier like way to get there. But also it could be hard because you have a longer distance to go as well. So like if you're super short, you have a shorter distance, but you also have like a shorter like way to hinge. But if you're super long, you also have a longer distance to travel while trying to like get underneath and like not have to drop your hips. So their proportions will definitely have an effect on your technique, but also adapting to your proportions, I think is also super beneficial. Um, so we can all bent press.
He doesn't need excuses.
Is gotta do your mobility. I know you don't. I was gonna call you out in the video. Um, cool. And then that's really the maintaining that connection as we're going, like I said. And we're moving the torso away from the bell, not the bell away from the torso. And that's I think this is where people always get it wrong. This portion here is people are like, oh, we're here, and now we're just gonna do this, and that's not the position you want to be in. You want to be here, and then you want to go, okay, we're going away from the bell, and you kind of like lean away. And connected to that lat pack, if we're just here and then we're like, okay, we're just gonna drop and then side press, you're not going to be in a good position. But if you get into this position, it's going to be a lot easier because you're already kind of in that position. Um, so here are a couple different hinging positions. Here. So I'm gonna pause one. So there's two main windmill versions, right? So if you're doing windmills, you have like the like lateral windmill, or you have like the pushing your hips back windmill, right? Basically, this is what we're gonna do for our kettlebell bent press. Um, so you're pushing your hips back. If you're doing the hinge back, you're kind of like really rotating the shoulder and your whole like torso backwards, to like get into a good bent press position. Um, I'm going to show you from the side as well in just a second. You can see I'm like really pushing the torso backwards, to get into that position. Uh, this is one version of a bent press, also one version of a windmill, right? Like when you do a windmill, you can do it that way. You're really dropping your body between your legs in this version. As you can see, I'm like my elbow is like coming between my legs. So you're pushing that hip forward versus this version where you're pushing the hips laterally and you're kind of draping your body like across the front leg. Um, Either version is totally fine. With this, you're obviously like not like pushing your hip, your torso back as far, but you are able to get into this like side position. But like just like a windmill, one leg kind of stays straight, one leg kind of bends. It just really depends on which version feels good to you and your body. And like I said, there's not like a wrong version of this. Um, both both versions are okay. But you can see like I'm way less rotated back in this. I will say if you're trying to do dumbbell, or at least barbell, I personally very much prefer this version. I obviously prefer this version also for kettlebell. But this version for me feels a lot more stable. if you're ever trying to like shift into barbell type variations, and I know some people are. Um, it just feels a lot more stable versus like having to push the bar that way. I feel like when I'm pushing the bar that way with a barbell, it gets a lot wobblier versus this version where like much more it feels a lot more kettlebell based for me. But you just sort of drop and you're kind of dropping your body between your legs versus this version where you're dropping your body across the front leg. Questions about any of these ones? Let me see if I can see. There's no, like I said, there's not really a wrong version. And maybe the lap pack will feel more comfortable on one side or the other. It's really a, a totally personal experience. That's the fun thing with the bent press, I think, is also like the variations. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So in either hinge, you're really trying to target to bring the elbow lined up with your leg so that everything is basically structured on top
Yeah,
of
you
each
want
other,
to try to
correct?
stack. The goal
So you
the
want
goal
to,
is to stack everything so that way it's the most stable because the other thing with the bent press is that it's a heavy lift. Like obviously we're today hopefully no one's maxing out today on this workshop. Um I guess more power to you if you want to, but um, it's a lift that's meant to be heavy, so you want to like use every advantage that you possibly can to make it doable. So that means sometimes like stacking your joints. That means leaning over and finding little tweaks to make it more efficient. But yeah, especially with like the lateral one for me, I'm very much stacked over that back leg, and I'm really holding that stack and then with this one, I feel like I'm much less so. But also I just kind of locked into the first variation and that was cool. But you're still very stacked over the one leg and you're packing everything. That answer? Or that or is that just like a good? Okay.
one
um
more. And then
Perfect.
so when you're stacking, so if you're lifting with your right, then
Mhm.
your base leg would become the opposite or the same side?
It's the same side for me.
Same
So
side.
like
So
you
you're
can see
trying to
here.
so right on right and left on left.
Because at the end, I'm like stacked over the top. Like obviously you're
Okay.
shifting away from it at one point, but you are ending stacked on that one side.
Okay.
Um,
So the idea is to keep that stack the entire time and then ending up in this position.
yeah, and like I said, you're gonna shift it away a little bit, right? Because you're gonna have to, because that's just the measure of the lift. But you
Yeah.
are stacking, and you're hoping to return to that stack as quickly as possible, because that's going
But
to
then
be
the
the
belt, the
stablest
belt,
position.
got
Yeah.
it, got it. But then the belt continues to stay stacked on that
Hmm.
base, which is the right side when you're
Yeah.
doing it with the right. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for. This is all these little nerdy little tweaky pieces of the lift. And like I said, like if you're doing kettlebell versus dumbbell versus barbell, it might shift. Like if you're trying this like more hinge back variation, you might find that that feels less good in barbell. It's just because like you have to twist so far back. I personally find it to just get really off balanced, but maybe it feels really good for you. And like, who am I to stop you if that feels good for you? Um, so squat hinge though is like sort of how you can finish it off. I'm kind of exaggerating in these videos, but you can see it in a lot of the videos where you kind of finish the lift off with a squat. Um, this is really just helping you to increase that space so you don't have to press it out. Because one, you might not be able to press it out because it's heavy. Like for me personally, like a lot of the lifts that I'm like doing heavy where I need to under squat, I couldn't I couldn't really press it out because it's really, really heavy. But when you get to that like last point, you kind of just like sink your hips underneath it a little bit, and that helps create enough space so you can get that elbow lockout. And that just feels a lot more comfortable as you're going along. Also, maybe you don't have like hip mobility to fully do the whole thing, right? Like you don't have that hip mobility, you don't have the space, limb length, like we were talking. All of these things can play a part in it. this is a totally fine way to do it. And you can do that on both variations. You can do it, it's a little bit easier, I think, probably uh, on the like squat back version. But like you can just do a little hip drop and that helps. It helps create a little bit of space. Uh, Personally, like I'm not trying to drop into a like overhead squat position because that's way harder to get out of. And that just might be because I kind of suck at squats. So like maybe if you're like a squat champion, maybe dropping into an overhead squat-ish position is like, this feels so good. For me, I feel like a lot less balanced and a lot less strong, whereas my hinge, obviously coming from a kettlebell background, my hinge is really, really strong. And that's what I train to help my bent press so my hinge is strong enough that I hopefully don't have to drop into enough of an overhead squat where that would become like a thing. um but you'll just find the range of motion that works for you. And that will probably change with time. My old lifts, a lot of them, I'm doing a lot more severe of an under squat. And as my mobility increased, I've done less of an under squat. So don't be afraid to let your technique evolve as you evolve with the technique and as your technique gets better, and as your mobility gets better, because hopefully all of those things are improving with time. And also your strength, because sometimes like having to do the under squat is just because you don't have the like physical strength to like keep the weight maintained in that position. It's like this is faster, let me just drop underneath it. So like I said, totally fine, no matter whatever variation. Any questions about the under squat? And we kind of talked about it. So you'll probably play around with that a little bit today when we get to practice. Standing up. So standing up, this is just a windmill. Like this, once you get it locked out down there, it's just a windmill. Possibly a little bit of an overhead squat, depending like like I just mentioned, right? Um, Make sure that your elbow is locked out. That is like the main thing. If your elbow is not locked out, it will get super, super wobbly and you'll probably lose control of the weight. So really, really main thing, make sure your elbow is locked out. Um, Also, like in the like old-timey strongman version of this, to like finish the lift, they would bring their heels together. So if you want to be like super classic, you can do a little heel clip together when you have the weight in your head overhead. But make sure that you're like taking a second, you're pausing before like moving on to your next rep. Just like so you have control. If you've done sport, I know you some of you do. Fixation, just like having control of the weight, and knowing that you have control over the weight without it being precarious. Um, we haven't talked about breath, so I wanted to talk about breath here. Make sure you were breathing. Make sure you were breathing throughout the lift. For me, when I'm doing my bent press now, as I'm getting up, we're here, big breath in, and then exhaling on the way down. Sometimes I don't have enough breath to do it on the way down, so it's and then to get the rest of the way down to help compress my core so I can get underneath the weight. But I'm really bracing outwards as I'm doing it, which kind of decreases your range of motion as I'm like pushing my belly out a little bit to increase that uh core protection. So finding the breath that works, I find big inhale here and then exhaling as I'm dropping helps me get into position. And then you're here, big breath, and then stand up. Main thing is don't hold your breath. Your lungs need oxygen and your muscles need oxygen. So holding your breath doesn't actually help. Even like with the big bracing and stuff, like I'm holding that breath in for a moment, but less like a second, but I'm not like trying to like do the whole lift without breathing because that would be really, really hard. And I think you can see even in like oh, see in like a lot of these videos, especially the like longer ones here. I'm exhaling there, um, and I'm exhaling there. Um, yeah, so just make sure you're breathing on the lift. Um, Different kinds of things. I'm going to talk a little bit about the dumbbell and kettlebell in a second, but there are lots of different variations you can do. So like maybe regular standing bent press isn't for you, or maybe you don't have a lot of equipment and you want to still like improve your lift. Doing other variations is going to be super helpful. Kneeling, tall kneeling, seated, bottoms up, waiters, banded. You can add bands to it, you can add chains to it. Basically, any way you want to do it, you can do a bent press. These were all super helpful. Also like bot waiters and bottoms up are like definitely my go-tos. They really benefit your balance, your wrist strength, and for me, as I do a barbell bent press, wrist strength is like the king of of doing this stuff. Questions about variations? Kettlebell variations, I guess, because I'm gonna talk about other variations in a second. No. Okay. So here is a couple here's me. You've seen me barbell bent press quite a lot, so this is me doing a dumbbell bent press. Things to consider. One, I think the kettlebell really lends itself to the bent press because once you get into this position, the way the weight sits on your arm, it kind of just pulls you right into that pocket, which is really, really nice. Whereas the dumbbell and the barbell are probably going to fight you a little bit on that. So with the dumbbell, slightly harder to get into position. As you can see here, like I'm having to like swing it into position, which is like not super ideal. And also the stupid little plates at the end get in your way. So it's really hard to get into a lat pack position because they're like physically like blocking your arm from getting into position. It is less unwieldy than like a bar where the bar is gonna try to like tilt a whole bunch. So it's a little bit easier like balance wise, mobility wise. And it'll be easier on the forearm because if you're doing really heavy kettlebell bent presses, the weight is sitting like right here, and that can like really suck. Like it can just start to hurt your forearms quite a lot, especially if you're going very heavy. And also, it might just be easier to do dumbbells because they're everywhere. Like every gym has 1.5 million dumbbells, so sometimes it's just easier to get your hands on dumbbells that way. Um, the barbell, obviously, like don't just hop into a barbell bench press. Takes a lot of time. You want to be like very confident in your ability to get into that position with the technique. And like know that you can do it because the bar is like a whole extra piece that is going to like try to rock back and forth and be very annoying. And also like getting it into position is this whole own thing. And then wrist strength is like super, super important. But you're able to go really heavy. It's really cool. Like that's also like a part of it. It feels really cool. And it also feels like really cool to like do the thing that like the old-timey strong people were doing. Like that for me, like I feel like a really fun like connection to the past doing it like that. But when it comes to the barbell and kettlebell hand positioning, I want to talk about that for a second. I'm actually going to go full screen so people can see because I know this was a question I got. So when you're doing that with a kettlebell, obviously you're just sort of like have your neutral wrist, right? Position, normal, clean position. With a dumbbell and barbell, you're going, for me, the best way I found is to put the bar across your hand and then lock it this way. And this is where it looks like when you're like the bar is vertical and then it's across the palm like this. So the wrist is bent back. Um, this is obviously a super teeny tiny dumbbell, so it's not super effective in showing everything. But yeah, I go like one side of the palm directly across here, lock it in, and then we're like, I'm out here right here doing it and then bringing it to the shoulder and it's in this bent wrist position. And then make sure it's in the center because if it's not in the center, you're gonna have a bad time because the bar is going to tilt quite a lot. Questions about the different variations? Ooh, at all? No? I know, like, I think most of the folks here are here for that, but also when you're doing like the other variants as well, like find things that give you a fun challenge, and also like where you need to improve. Like for me, like the bottoms up is always the thing because my wrist always needs work so I can balance the bar better, right? And also bottoms up is just good for you generally. Maybe your range of motion in your hips is not great, so maybe kneeling is going to be good for you. Maybe like your thoracic needs more mobility practice. Seated might be the best position for you. So finding those variations that are going to work for you and like challenge you and help you improve like your main version is super helpful. Okay, let's talk about me failing a bunch. Failure is inevitable. So that is part of it. This is like 3 minutes of me failing in various capacities. We're probably going to run through it and I'll pause and show you exactly where I screw up on several of them. But the most common mistakes that I see is pressing the bell out, not having enough mobility to get underneath the weight enough, not locking out all the way, so you're unstable as you come up. And essentially, all of those are just like not getting under the weight properly. If you're not getting under the weight properly, you're going to have problems getting up on it. For barbell specifically, you might not be centered on the bar, and that will make the bar tilt. Even if you are centered on the bar, your wrists might not be strong enough to maintain it, and then the bar will rock a whole bunch. Um, and then with the dumbbell, you'll see like you're not able to get into that lat pack as securely, and that will make it so you're kind of side pressing it, and it becomes unbalanced as well. If you're like used to doing it one way and you're like, I'm gonna try dumbbells, it might just feel a little bit off. Um, make sure you're like there's a balance between like going really, really slow, and like finding the like grinding through the lift, but also like not going so slow that you like are like just struggling for no reason, right? So like there's like find that we're like, okay, this is a grind, but I'm able to do this functionally. But also we don't want to like speed through the lift because it is a grindy lift. So finding that balance for you, and it'll look different for you than it does for me, especially at this point in my and how long I've done the lifts. But make sure you have control of the weight, and additionally know the space that you're in. Like that's super important. If you're trying to go super heavy, be very aware of where you're at. In this room, I would not do a barbell bent press at all, really heavy at least. I could probably do with an actual bar, but if I have to fail, I'm either going to have to throw it into my computer or I'm going to have to throw it into the wall, and both of those are bad. I don't want to do either of those. This is why I crawl out my window to do the bent press with the bar. So be aware. Of the space that you're taking, and especially if you're in a public gym. This is me like demoing it, so they're not as good. They're a little bit exaggerated, but I wanted to make sure I had lots of different versions of failure so you could see. um, but like the thing with the bent press is it is a lift that you're meant. Oh, good, yeah, you don't need your printer. I, um, but this is a lift that you're meant to go heavy, so like failing is absolutely going to be part of the process if you're trying to like get very strong at it and get very heavy at it. Um, when you're bailing, because you should know how to bail if you're trying to max out, knowing where that is, and knowing where the bar is and knowing how you can get out of that lift is very, very important. So generally as you're going heavier, you're going to start to be able to feel like I'm not going to get this. Like you're going to start getting to a point you're like, "Oh, this isn't happening this time, right?" I think in this one like I felt it right there and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to try again anyways." But I immediately knew like that wasn't going to happen. And then I tried it anyways. And oh, look what happened. I was trying to side press it. And it didn't work. So being aware of like, okay, this doesn't feel right. I might need to find a way to exit this situation is important. Also, I will say all of these fails, and though some of them are quite dramatic looking, I didn't hurt myself with any of these or anybody else. There's nobody in these videos really but me, but some of them have people amongst around. But like all of these videos, I'm not hurting myself, I'm not hurting people around me. I'm bailing out in a safe way. So with the any of these versions, you're able to kind of like meet the bar. So if you're coming in the side position here, and as you're dropping, you're going, oh, this is wobbling, this is feeling weird. Just coming up and like getting it into that more secure position can be super like the easiest way to do it. You just bring it up and then you drop it off. And I think I do that several times in these videos. I very much am like, okay. And then if you bring it to your rack position, kettlebell, barbell, dumbbell, whatever, that's really easy because if you're doing this, you've probably done plenty of cleans. You've gotten a bell to a rack, you've gotten a bar to a rack, right? So you can kind of hit that position and be like, okay, and then you can controlled drop it. Barbell obviously a lot more unwieldy, and it will try to turn on you, like physically turn on you, not like emotionally. um, but the bar will try to like rotate on you. So like being like, okay, this bar is rotating this way. I'm going to drop it this way, and I'm going to step away from it. Or I'm going to drop it this way and step away from it, feeling which way it's going, and then just like letting it take the momentum that way without following it. And also like actually releasing the weight, especially with the bar, because the bar is tricky. Making sure that you're like actually letting go of it, and not like trying to like hold on to it. But if you're like around other people, like and like not warning them that you're doing shenanigans, they might be a little bit nervous, and that might make you nervous. Whenever I did this lift in actual gyms, I'd always like let people around me be like, hey, I'm gonna do this weird thing. It looks like I have no control. I do, but also at some point I might try to let max out, and you might want to not be in the area just to like keep people safe, because public spaces, and I think everyone here is training at home, but like some of the people who aren't who are rewatching might not be. But here I'm gonna go through some of these so you can kind of see where the fails are happening. Here, I'm not getting underneath the weight enough. Like my mobility isn't good enough. I'm like locked. I get stuck as I'm dropping down. And I dropped underneath the weight poorly. That one I just lost control of the bar. This one I just wasn't strong enough. And here, not dropping under it enough, and I kind of got locked on my leg, so I didn't have the mobility to drop underneath it. Let me fast forward through some of these. That one I was super pressing it out. You can see how much I was pressing that bar out, that bell out. Look, I'm like connected and I'm trying to maintain it, and I can't get underneath it because I don't have mobility. So I start pushing it up, and I can't press 50 kilograms, especially not from that position. So it got wobbly, dropped it, bring it to the rack, bring it to the floor. This is, they're dropping really close. I'm going to try to come up, and I'm not locked out. So this one looks particularly dramatic, but it isn't actually that bad. I just wasn't. But I didn't hurt myself. Like I have like 15 videos from that day specifically failing that lift in like a million different ways. I was so determined, and it was such a stupid way to do the lift, like attaching kettlebells. But I had to do it. I was like, at a certain point, I was like, I'm not letting these bills beat me. But you can see like some of them I just stand up, and that can be the thing. Once you get like down here and like wobbly, that's where it starts to be like, okay, I need to like get rid of the weight. But a lot of times if you're just like on that way down and you're like, this isn't gonna happen, you just come back up, and that can just super, super simple way to get out of the lift. So failing is part of it. But also like knowing how to fail and knowing that you're like safe in a fail is really helpful. Trying to press it out, and I didn't lock out, and I tried to stand up, and look what happens. Um, so like I said, you're gonna fail at some point, especially if you're trying to push it, but being confident in your ability to fail is really helpful. Being like, okay, it's gonna happen at some point, and be like, it's fine, and letting it go. It can be frustrating, of like obviously, but like knowing that you can get out of that position safely is cool. Any questions about failing or mistakes? Yes, go for
What's your worst fail?
it. Well, I tried to find this video for it actually, but I couldn't. when I was first doing like heavy barbell, and I have it like saved on Instagram, but it has like a stupid caption on it. I drop it and then it like kind of catches me on the neck and then like drop it down. Um, and it ended up being like it totally didn't hurt me at all because I like shut my neck in, but it looks really scary. My husband was not thrilled when I showed him that video. But that's probably the worst like looking one. But a lot of the times it's more like I'm like by myself, so it doesn't actually feel that dramatic. It's more emotionally frustrating than it is physically frustrating because it's like, damn, like the first videos like on there with like those first videos are me, my first time trying to get the 56 or 58 kilograms up because I was like, this is the day I'm doing it, and then I couldn't get it, and I was like there's more of me just like full on cussing in the videos and it's not a like a not a super pleasant side of me, but it's me just like going this and like being like mother and throwing it away and hitting my fence. So it's less intense. But like I said, I don't think I've ever actually like hurt myself failing doing the bent press, which is really nice. It's just mostly uh hurting my pride.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you think, okay, so I failed. I don't do get-ups
Hmm.
like ever. And then I'd like try to max them out because I'm really smart.
Yeah.
And one time I dropped a 28 on my crotch
Mhm.
and that kind of like scared me. I feel like bent press seems like a safer fail than a get up, or am I insane? Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, well, the bent press, I think you have ways to like really like
get
chuck
it
the
out.
weight away.
Yeah.
Kettle with the Turkish get up, yeah, because you're kind of like stacked right over your body. I presume it was like when
I
you
was
were
when I
getting
was
up.
getting up. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like on that sit up. So with that, like I've also like taught a lot of failures with Turkish get ups. Not that this is a get up workshop, but like being able to like getting in this position and being like, okay, I can catch it is really helpful. But
Yeah.
like just like meeting the weight where it's at, I think will always be better than like letting it come to you. 'Cause
Yeah.
if the weight comes to you, it's going to build momentum and it doesn't know what you're doing. It doesn't
Yeah.
know. So like you have to be able to be like, okay, this is happening and meeting it.
Catch. Okay.
Generally that like will save the day most of the time is meeting the weight. When you get really heavy, like most of these are pretty heavy attempts, and pretty dramatic attempts also. So like it does turn into like get out of here, sort of situations. Yeah, the I mean, mostly with the Turkish get up, it's just that sit up and sit down per part that like becomes a little bit sketchy. Everything else is very similar.
It's
Like the
fine.
windmill position, same thing, right?
Same.
Standing, if you should be able to get to the standing. If you get to the windmill part, you should be able to get to the standing part. But even then, it's like, oh, I'm just stacked. Bring it to my rack position. Returning to rack is sort of the easiest way to like make things feel good. Yeah, but it all takes practice. I practice failing. Like literally, I practice like bailing out of lifts, just so I can be safe. I think that's it. Cool. Let's practice. Let's do stuff. Oh my gosh, let's go. All right, so we're gonna start with a warm up. So everyone move me get my stuff here. Um, a little whiteboard so I can make sure I don't miss things. So if you've done workshops with me before, you've probably done a lot of these warm-ups. Because I do the same warm-ups all the time. Uh we're gonna do the shoulder, hip, thoracic cars, and then we're gonna do a hip clock, and we're gonna do scapular push-ups. Actually, we'll probably start with scapular push-ups. And then strength warm-up wise, I'm not gonna have us do a whole kettlebell Turkish get up situation. It's just gonna take too long. So we're gonna go through the arm bar because the arm bar I think is so good and also probably the one that most people have the least experience with. Halos and then like deads or swings or whatever variation of a hinge that you prefer, just to get us into that. And then we're gonna do bent presses and I'm gonna tell you how to do them better. Okay, so let's start on the floor. And we're gonna do just some cat cows to start. And if you can't hear me or anything, please say so. Mic is there, but it's kind of a little bit further away. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Just getting a few breaths in. You just sit back. You guys know how to do cat cows. I don't need to be in frame for this. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I have all of these linked in the slides. So when you get the replay, you'll be able to go through the slides and like just click on them. Let's do some scapular push-ups. So scapular push-ups, we're gonna do some big circles with our shoulders here. You can do them from like an actual push-up position, but I'm generally lazy in my warm-ups, so I do them here. Big circles back, 5 to 8, and then big circles forward. The warm-up part of the day is me like working up the will to actually do the strength work, so I make it as easy as humanly possible. Gonna do little push-ups, bringing your shoulder blades together and then separating them, really rounding the back. Nice. I said 5 to 8. Working through this at your kind of own pace. And you'll bring your shoulders up to your ears and down your back. Make sure you're breathing. Perfect. From here, you can like sit up. You can stand if you want. We're gonna do shoulder cars. Cars are controlled articular rotations. Like I said, if you've been in one of my workshops, I've made you do these before. So we're gonna start with our thumb pointing backward. I'm gonna go sideways to start. And you're going to push your thumb back as far as you can, trying not to like follow it, right? And then you're gonna find those sticking points, and then you're going to rotate your palm all the way around, pinky forward, ending next to your hip. And then thumb back, finding that range of motion, working in that sticking point, turning, and coming forward. And that's one rep. Let's show you from the front. You can see how tight I'm trying to stay in. Even if you're not doing bent presses, this is a really good exercise. And your range of motion will probably be different than my range of motion. And when we switch sides, it will also probably be different. Side for side, it's a little bit different. We're gonna do 3 to 4 reps. I'll do one more rep here. Pushing it back. Hopefully getting any creakiness out of your shoulders. Other side. Trying to keep your arm in tight. Obviously you can see like even I'm like tight here and I'm like finding my arm trying to like track outwards. So finding that range of motion. But your shoulders are really important for a bent press. You want to make sure that they're feeling good and are like prepared to like this is a weird position to put your body in, right? So getting your shoulders ready for such a thing is good. Now let's do a hip car. So I like the quad ones better. So we're gonna start hands and knees. Bring your knee up to your elbow. Fire hydrant up, and then kick the heel up. Drive the knee to the elbow. Kick the heel up. Fire hydrant, knee to elbow. That's one rep. So get 3 to 5 of these big circles, finding that range of motion, right? Kicking it up, turning it out, finding that external and internal rotations. Your hips are like a little bit crampy, you're feeling creaky. That's cool. That means we're waking it up. I said hips are also super important. You want that mobility to like be where it needs to be, so you can actually get underneath the belt properly. And with these cars, we are kind of like running through them a little bit quicker than I probably would in my own warm-up. Switch legs here. It's really about finding that like end range of motion. You want to make sure you're like not like, okay, look, I'm doing little hip circles. This is really pushing and finding those sticking points and then working through the sticking points. Might be like breathing a little bit hard. I know I'm trying not to because I'm talking. Great. Cool. You're good. Come to our feet. I'm going to do thoracic car, which I don't think I've done in a workshop before. And frankly, are probably the ones that I'm like less confident in going through. So I'm gonna stand in a wide like hip position. We're gonna kind of lock our legs in, bring your arms across your chest, and they're gonna kind of like curl in, and you're going to come down, elbow to the side of your hips, back of your hips, lift your chest through, and then forward. And then you're gonna go back the way you came. Lift the chest in that thoracic. We're going back and forth through both sides. We're really creating tension through our body here. You might be like breathing through this. Trying to keep your legs really locked in. This is hopefully just rocking through your thoracic spine. Once you've done like 3 to 5, be good to go. How are we feeling? Yeah, hopefully feeling pretty good. I feel a little better after sitting for an hour talking. We're gonna do a hip clock. I love hip clock. So hip clock is a like lower body hip sequence. You might not be able to hit all of these positions, and that is totally okay. Walk your hands through it. Pick up your feet, like if you need to like get in position. Totally cool. So nice wide position. We're gonna drop into a Cossack if you can. If not, do like a lateral lunge. Pick up the back of your heel if you need to. And then you're going to turn and plant. Bring your palms out. Pull your fingers towards your chest. Rock it side to side. If you're doing this on your own, you can kind of sit in any of these positions. You're going to plant your hands next to your feet. Pick up the back leg, or down if you don't want to. Then drop into a little dragon or lizard push-up. Pick up the hand next to your foot, and then you're going to twist and drop and look up. Did everyone catch that? You're gonna full on both your feet are gonna be pointing in one direction, and you're gonna be across. Yeah. I'm gonna show you again, and then you'll untwist and then stand up. I'm gonna show you again. I'm gonna be facing away this time so you can see that specific part. Actually, I'm gonna go this way. So drop into your Cossack. Turn. Pull your fingers towards your chest. Rock it side to side. A little push up. Pick up your hand next to your foot, and then twist and drop. Full rotation, hips should be on the ground, big twist through your body. Don't worry if you don't get this one right away. I just really like everyone to know this stretch sequence. It makes my hips feel like magic, and is really, really good. I have a full video breaking it down. So if you're like, what the hell is all of this? You'll have a video linked with like how exactly to do all of this. All right. Hopefully feeling like your hips are good. Great. It's a really good stretch. My hips
I
really
thought my
like it.
hip mobility was pretty on point, but you proved me wrong too.
I mean, to be fair, that one is like a lot. And it's also like a lot of steps. When I first learned that one, I did not know how I had to write the steps out like every single time for like so long. And now it's just like in my brain. But there was a long time where I was like It's like sitting in like this, like, no, what do I do from here? So don't worry, there'll be a link to it, a whole demonstration, so you can feel better and practice it because it's a really good stretch. Your lower body will thank you. Cool. So strength warm up. Let's go. We're gonna start with halos. Just to get your shoulders feeling good. I don't know if I'm wrong to assume that everyone here can probably do a halo. Um, bring the bell up behind the head and back to your chest. We're gonna work through like 5 and 5 each direction. Cool. I kind of figured everyone here knew how to do it. Typically, if you're trying to do a weird thing like a bent press, you probably can rock out a halo. um, so hit 5 and 5, rest for a sec, and we'll do it again. I'm gonna with warm-ups, I generally do them like however I feel like it. Warm-ups for me are like very loosey-goosey. Like sometimes I'm doing them as a circuit, sometimes I'm doing them as sets. It's really just like whatever I feel like, but for today, so we can rock through practicing things better, we'll do them as sets. But some days I just don't feel like rotating between exercises. So I kind of use the warm up to be as flexible as I need to be so I can be on it for my actual stuff. If you don't like halos, mace 360s, club swings, like all of that stuff sort of covers that. And I just make it work however I need to. Cool. Hopefully the shoulders feel good. Because then we're gonna do an arm bar. Has anybody done an arm bar before? Cool. Okay, cool. So arm bar is it's such a good exercise, especially if we're getting ready for bent press. So I'm gonna show you how to do an arm bar. This is actually why I wear green pants, so you can see me on the ground. So an arm bar, we're going to don't bring the bell across your chest, that was bad. Set up kind of like we're doing a Turkish get up, but like really tight. Arms gonna come up above your head. You're gonna take this leg that's on the side of the bell, and you're going to step it across like this. And you're kind of resting your head on this arm. This is kind of a long line here, and you can hold this position. But what I really, really love is the bent arm bar, where you're really like letting the gravity pull the bell into the position of that lap pack. You can kind of do presses with it, but mostly I just sort of hang out in this position, rotating. I'm gonna show you from the other side. Yeah, show you from the other side. So, same thing, over the top. You can kind of drop into this position or hold it in here, finding those sort of wobbly points, dropping your elbow nice and low. Obviously, like, don't turn your whole head around, but I am trying to make sure you can hear me on the audio. Try to keep your neck neutral. As you get better at it, you would kind of rotate further as well. So, like, at this point, I kind of come, like, all the way down. Like, my whole chest is on the ground. But finding that range of motion that, like, works for your body and, like, as you go, finding where you can like get your chest down lower, and all of that, like finding that range of motion and sinking into it is helpful. Yep, big step. I know you're working in a tight space. And you're kind of coming down from it like a Turkish get up, basically, when you're, trying to roll into it. But great. Getting you into it. And then, like I said, with this one, I don't generally like have like reps for it. I just sort of sit in it for a minute or two, finding those positions that like I need to take extra time in. Usually with the arm bar, I can kind of feel out like how the day's gonna go. like if this doesn't feel good, it's probably not gonna be my best workout, right? Like if I can't get into the positions I want to get into here. If anybody has questions or anything, or let me know. Yes, hi.
Like my neck is weird. I know you can't see. Like I feel like I'm like this. Is that supposed to be like
I just
that, or
sort
am I
of rest
trying
it.
to like? I feel like
I
okay.
rest. I rest
I
on
know
this,
you can't
like on this
see.
arm. This is sort of, you can kind of like keep it up, but
You just lay it down.
I do make this kind of a lazy situation. Like I said, my warm-ups are so lazy. So like I'm just sort of resting on it. I'm like, and that's sort of like the most
Maybe
comfortable.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, this is just like, because otherwise, like I feel like I'm craning my neck, and I don't want to crane
Yeah.
my neck.
Okay.
It doesn't feel great, and also like doesn't really help anything. Like when I was like turned over trying to show you, and then like that's not a position you want to put your neck in generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that feel
Makes sense.
better?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Does everyone feel good? Oh, do you have a question too, or no? Good. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Perfect. Let's do so swings or deads. I just want to kind of get your lower body like amped a little bit. So do like 10, 15 swings, deads, whatever your body is feeling like it needs today. Um, and just to get this position so we can remember that this is not a press. You are using your hips to do the weights. So whatever that is for you. Um, Sometimes I'll do like lateral swings or suitcase deadlifts, um, kind of depending on the day and also like what my body's doing. That's also, I think, with warm-ups generally, like knowing and like being able to find out and feel out where your body's at. Even if you have like a program from a coach being like, I think I need more time here, or I think I need more energy in this, and making those adjustments for yourself is helpful. Because warm up is really where you can like feel it out and be like, oh yeah, this is going great, or this is not going great. um, I could generally feel out if it's going to be a good day or bad day at that point. Beautiful set of swings. Are we ready to bent press? Okay. Who has anybody like done? I know a couple of you've done bent press, but how are you feeling like about the bent press? Great. This is fun. Are you excited to bent press? You're here. I presume you're at least a little excited to bent press. All right. So let's talk about the positions. I know we did the whole long slideshow, but I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to put the light off so I can pause and everything. So first thing first, rack position. Easy peasy. Lat pack. Get it into your position. And you don't have to follow along now if you don't want to, but I'm just kind of walking. You can though. Lat pack. And then from here, we're going to drop underneath the bell, locking out your elbow, exhaling on that drop, standing up nice and tall. Heels together. So for me, I'm doing like a foot out, like that windmill. Like this is the sort of windmill that I'm doing, right? Versus this kind of windmill. So here, break it down. See, like as soon as I get into this position, like I'm already leaned over and then on the way down. And then to keep my body like, because I'm doing this way, right? My hand tends to trace my like leg. Sometimes it comes back here, but it does tend to like hold on to a leg one way or another. Whereas if I do the other kind, I kind of tend to be here with my hand across like my hips, almost.
Tiffany, can I ask a question?
Of course.
How would you, would you be trying to bent press more than you could strict press? So should it be kind of
Yes.
the next
My
step?
my bent press is like over double my strict press.
So if you're starting off, would you go like with your what you could push press, or would it
Probably.
be?
I mean, starting off learning the technique, I would probably keep it to like something that you know you have control over.
Okay.
But you'll feel a difference in how the technique feels like going heavier. At this point, like I'm doing the technique fine with like a 10-kilo bell, but like getting underneath the weight and like dropping, which is I guess dropping, we stand up a little bit, is gonna be easier if the weight is really heavy, versus like this. Because with this light bell, it's like I can do whatever the hell I want with this. So like why would I? So going heavy-ish, but also like that you have control over while you're learning. But also I know that your back, your sciatica wasn't feeling great, so. And then also like keeping an eye on the weight as well as is overhead, because you know, like a windmill, you want to keep your eye where the bell is. There it is. That's a bent press. And if there's any like point where you're like, look at mine, say so. If you're like, this doesn't feel right. Yes.
I was just gonna say, don't look at mine. Sorry.
Oh, you know, I'm looking at yours now. I'm looking at yours even harder. Beautiful. It's a little bit of a press out, but that's not bad. Try to do like a little bit of an under squat. I think right now, because right now you're
My
here,
hips.
you're getting to like 70%
Yep.
of the way, and then you're locking and you're pushing it out.
Okay.
So instead of doing that, just kind of drop the hips a little bit.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still pressing it. I'm just pressing it.
It's okay. It's not like the thing is like if I'm not expecting anyone to like walk out of here like be like, wow, it magically all makes sense on my first time doing a workshop. That's why you get a replay so you can practice and review and try again and all of the things. So be patient with yourself. Like this is an objectively weird position to put your body in. Like this is not a normal place to place your body. So your body's gonna be like, what are we doing? So being aware of that and like adjusting and being cool with that. Do you have a question? Yes, I see ya.
Can you check my lat pack on both sides?
Yeah, sure will. I think exaggerated a little bit more. Right now, you're here. You're like just doing this. Think this. Like like huge dramatic like because right now I think you're ending up here. That's kind of what it looks like on the video. So really like drive the elbow up and then down towards your tailbone. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then that should give you a lot more work with your lats versus
So here instead of this.
yeah, here you can kind of cheat, especially with that weight.
Yeah,
you can feel your lats immediately.
Yeah.
Like that's like it does even like without weight at this point. Like here, if I drive my elbow between my tailbone, right? If I'm putting my body here, I can feel these muscles. So when
Yeah.
you're practicing that, when you're doing that, get it here. Like we're driving it. And that way your lats can do all the work. So your biceps and your elbows and your triceps don't have to do as much. Though it will probably feel funky adjusting to that sort of technique as well. But leaning, and that also helps put you in a better position as well. So we're here versus this, where you can kind of stay upright, versus this, where you kind of automatically, you're going to start leaning here versus here, where your hips are like, oh, we're just going to drop off to the side.
So it's really more of an elbow kind of swiping out this way
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
instead of
My cue for my brain is literally like elbow to tailbone. Like, and that's I'm obviously like not like actually hitting my tailbone. I mean, like I could, I guess, wouldn't be very helpful, but like that intention is gonna put your body in the right place so you can go heavy. Yeah, and then you're leaned over like way more, so you're able to like, and your body's in a different position than it was before. So now you're able to like drop better versus here where you're kind of like getting blocked by your own leg. There you go.
Okay.
Ooh. Big dramatic elbow drive. This is great. And play around right now. This is great time to like play around with your foot position. Do you like that squared off hip bent position better, or do you like the like lateral hip position better? Do you need a little bit more of an under squat, or do you like not like doing the under squat at all? Does it not feel stable? This is the moment. Exhale. There you go. Like this is beautiful. Keep your eye on the bell too. Lovely. Is there any parts that you have questions, like want me to demo more also? I'm happy to do a million bent presses. That is in fact a thing I can do.
Would you mind showing the difference between bending your like the under squat
Yeah.
basically and then regular? I don't know if I just like because my arm isn't locking out all the way. Do I just need to put my torso down more?
You need to
Like
put your
angle
hips
it down
down
more?
more.
Hips down. Why can I not figure this out?
I mean, laterally squatting is weird. So like right now, because you're doing like this sort of one, right? So like this is not a like this feels weird,
Yeah.
right? So it does, but like it's also doesn't need to be as dramatic. Let me like Jesus, a little bit more resistance. So normal, right? No hip
Yeah, you
drop. Versus here, and then you're like, oh, I don't have the space. Just drop it back.
and then it's almost like you're pushing with your no shit, you're pushing with your hips.
Yeah, I'll show you from this angle too. So
Literally, that makes so
normal
much sense.
versus not normal versus not normal. But here, and then you're like, oh, let me just drop them.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you know if you don't have the space?
What do you mean?
Well, you said in your second demo, you said, oh, I don't have the space. And so you under squatted a little.
Yeah, so like if you're here and you don't have the mobility and you're like locked here, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not locked out in this position. Like physically, I can't get lower here, right? So I create the space. Versus instead of just like pressing it out. Like in theory, you could drop your chest more, but maybe you can't. Maybe your leg's in the way. Maybe your mobility doesn't allow for that. So here, this doesn't feel like I can drop my chest anymore. Now I can just drop my hips a little bit and then stand up. Create like the space so your elbow has the ability to lock out, because like I said, this is weird. Your body is like, what are we doing? Oh, lost someone. Maybe he comes back. Oh, he's back. Maybe. There he is. Cool.
I have another question. I'm gonna keep
Always.
bugging you.
No, why are you bugging me? You're
I feel
literally here
bad.
at a workshop. This
I know.
is what I'm thrilled to do.
I know.
Ask any and all questions
Thank
you
you.
have.
Will you demonstrate again for like the millionth time for my brain the difference between having this super lateral stance and then having the other
Yes,
one I just must be
absolutely.
turn more this way.
Yeah.
I'm running into the same thing that happens with everything else, all of my lifting, like my right side of my body is just so different than my left side.
That's totally fine. And like also like your lift might look different left to right. Like my lift looks a little bit different left to right. I have tweaked my right shoulder enough times that my right side looks not as good as my left side, which is very weird. Because I'm physically weaker on my left side, but it looks nicer on this. So, here we're gonna do the square off kind, right? I'm gonna do it for both angles. Turn it back, push it back. You're really like rotating through here. That position, like really rocking it back. I feel that in my hamstrings and up. Cool. And then we'll go. Actually, let me keep it on this side. So my foot's turned out here, and then dropping down. Torso's dropped over that front leg. Stand up. I'll show you from both angles on this one. Here. Torso's dropping over the front leg. And here. And turn out. Here. Do you see the difference, or do you still? I'll do it again. Like please don't feel bad asking me questions in my workshop.
I feel bad. I know.
That's about the thing that you're asking questions about.
I feel dumb because I feel like, like when you almost get it, but you don't quite get it.
That's cool. So it's okay. I gotta do it on my other side anyways. So here we are, squared up. Think so. If we're in a regular windmill position, let me just show you what I mean, like windmill wise, right? We're in a
Probably
regular
never do windmills.
We're here, and you kind of push your hips back, right?
Okay, got it.
Versus
No,
this, like this.
I got it. Yep, no, that makes. Never mind, I got it.
And then same thing.
Your weight is on the same foot as the arm that's holding the bell.
Yeah. Yeah. This leg stays straight and stable. This is like sort of my like locking point, and then down.
Can I ask, I feel somehow better if I move my hip to, is that wrong?
No.
Like, because if I just can't really get anywhere if I,
Like
do I
move
need
your hip,
like,
move your hip when?
like, so if I'm turned, like, first of all, no.
Doesn't look what
'Cause
like what step? Show me what you're.
So if I'm just here, I would start by doing that and then,
That's fine too. Yeah.
okay, because
Yeah.
I feel like I've got more space than.
That's great then. If that's what, yeah. The main thing is you want to like get into this before you start pressing. Or like this. This. You want everything pushed back. You want to be kind of leaned. Because if you're here, if you're just like here, like kind of standing at a funky little angle, what are we gonna do, right? But if we're here, we're in a way better position to come down.
And I'm just not sure if I'm going back enough. Can you just have a quick look?
Yeah, of course. Let's see it.
Um, so if you go, is that far enough?
And then exhale down. I mean, you're doing a bent press, so yeah. That's a bent press right there. I think
Oh,
as you practice, you'll be able to get deeper.
yeah.
And then you'll be able to go heavier. Because from this position, you can press that weight. So like you can kind of do whatever. But as you get more practice and whatever and time and your mobility in this weird position improves, you'll be able to get further back and then you'll be able to
Brilliant.
go further. But for now, that's a bent press. That's great.
And can you look at mine?
Yeah, obviously. Let's see it. Great lap pack. That's beautiful. That looks, I know you've sent me your bent press before, and that looks better than the last time I saw your bent press. Like a lot. That's great. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Does it feel good?
No, no, I have janky shoulders and
It looks good. It looks like a nice bent press.
this movement here, standing back up again is kind of painful. But it's all right.
Do you practice the windmill portion?
Not very much.
That might be a nice accessory for you to practice, like even if you're not doing bent press specifically, right? Just practicing that come up side of it. Kneeling might be nice as well, because you can kind of get a little bit deeper with your hips. I really like a kneeling windmill and kneeling bent press because you're able to kind of like wedge in a lot further. So that might be the move to
So
build it.
how do you program this? Because there's other things I do and I can't do back press.
I mean, it depends on like how you want to like train it. So like for me, I like specifically I'm like I'm doing this several days a week and this is all I'm doing. So for that, like I have a day of like heavy lifting and I have like a normal strength workout for it, right? So it's um a normal strength like warm up doing sets at like 50, 60, 70, 80% depending on the day of whatever rep scheme. And then accessories. And then I do a day of that like heavier work, and then I do a day of lighter work with a weird variation. For me, generally, that is bottoms up or waders press because those are the things that I need to strengthen the most. And then my lifts outside of that are also like to benefit my bent press. So I'm doing a lot of deadlifts because I need the hip hinge strength. I'm also doing like weird deadlifts. I'm sometimes doing like lateral work for those deadlifts. I'm also like doing a lot of uh split squats, specifically like standing split squats, not like Bulgarian split squats, because that's how I get the bar up on my shoulder. Um, so being able to move a lot of weight for that is really helpful. It was one of the things that I found was holding me back. Um, and then bicep curls for me for my bent press because as it turns out, pulling the bar up is actually just sort of a crappy bicep curl. And that was really limiting me. So like for my specific how I program, those are the things that I'm looking at and going, okay, those are like that's like 3 days of training. What am I doing on the other days? To
When are
like
you gonna
balance
start?
that.
When are you going to start trying to bench press your husband?
I don't think he would be down for that. He puts up with a lot of shenanigans, but I don't know if he would let me bent press him. Also, I need to get stronger. He's heavier than 129 pounds. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would like to bent press my own body weight. That is like my like long-term goal. So we're working towards that. Uh, and then like my other days, because I tend to strength train like 4 days a week. So then like my other days, like, what did I miss? Like what things did I not hit and kind of covering that. plus like cardio and fun because I also do juggling and stuff like that. Um, for like if you're just like, I would like to do bent presses in my training, I have some clients who will randomly practice it. I also have clients who will do it like in like with like supersetted with other stuff. So like windmill bent press is like one of a couple of my clients like favorite combos. And you can also use it like as a warm up as well. If it's something that you're like, I don't know if you're doing a lot of shoulder work and you don't have to go specifically very heavy with it, you can use that to like prime everything. Long cycle might also be beneficial with that, just get your shoulders moving in different positions, or as an accessory to long cycle, because long cycle is here and bent press is very much here. So that will be really beneficial for that. Um, if you're like just trying to improve it, like I said, like you could do like a couple days a week program. I've done like 1, 2, and 3 days a week programs for bent pressing. So, but you program it just like you would do any lift, really, like progressive overload, accessories, strength sets, sometimes supersets. Like it's a weird lift, and so you have to do weird accessories and weird parts of it, but it is still a strength. Like I did like a whole powerlifting program at one point. I've also done, which was also like not probably great because they do one rep or one thing and I had to do it on both sides. So it wasn't my favorite program. I've also done the like Wenning style where you do like a day of like working to max on a one specific variation, and then you do a day with bands or chains. So like, and then like a day of speed. Like there's a very specific weird thing. So I've done a program like that. But what I found to be the most effective for me has been a day of heavy and a day of a lighter variation, and then some supporting strength work has been the most effective for me to lift heavy things. And having to like kind of drop out on other things like sport, which I really love, but unfortunately, unfortunately, sport and bent press do not like each other. My body was really tired and very mad that I was trying to do both of those at the same time. I was trying to do like I'm gonna do a biathlon and then also bent press really heavy. And my friend Dan, who I mentioned earlier, was like, "You're training for a kettlebell sport competition. Maybe back up off on the bent pressing. Use your brain. You're actually a coach. If you were programming this for anybody other than you." And I was like, all right, fine. So, being aware of like what other things you're working towards and like what your other things you're interested in improving on is helpful as well. So like, okay, like I said, bent press with long cycle, help open up your chest a little bit. Um, what are your goals? If you're trying to like improve your overhead press, bent press might benefit you a little bit, but like maybe not really because my strict press kind of sucks. But my bent press is really good. So like knowing your body and knowing where you can like push yourself and knowing where you should maybe roll it back. Do we want any more demos or things on the bent press before we stop practicing? I know we've kind of all started sitting because I started chit-chatting quite a lot here. But I'm happy to demo if you have any questions or want to see any other angles or anything. Yes.
All right. Let's see how it looks.
Okay, let's see it.
It felt better on a 24. I was practicing with a 20 kilo, but it kind of felt better on a 24.
Yeah, it helps get that feedback with your body a little bit better. It's a heavy lift. Yeah, there's that good lat pack. Lovely. That looks great. Big lat pack. Gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I love it. How's it feel?
My left side feels good. My right side is where I struggle, but then my right side is my stronger hand.
I feel that. That happens sometimes. Is it feel we like where does it feel weird?
So when I'm right here and I start bending, I
Hmm.
feel like I'm getting crushed.
Okay.
So I feel like
Can we do it again?
not
Can you give me
stacking
like a side angle so I can see where your legs are and your torso is? Yeah, so I can see where that is in that angle. 'Cause that might be where you're dropping your torso a little bit. But you're right.
Yeah, right here. I
Mm-hmm.
feel get crushed.
Are
So I had to,
you are you exhaling? Are you breathing?
yeah.
Because that's the point where I usually have to take like an inhale and like a mini inhale and big exhale again, generally when I'm doing my lift. So when I'm going here, here, and I get stuck, exhale all the way down. So that might be part of it. Maybe you need a little to create that space through your core. Um, but also it might just be that uh your your left side has to be better at the technique because it's physically weaker. So your shoulder and your right side is like, I can do this fine without knowing the technique, which is generally what happens with my lifts. My my left side's technique is generally just like a little bit better because it has to be, otherwise I will fail. So building out that mobility and the strength on my right side has to be like a little bit more deliberate, because it wants to cheat because it's lazy, like me.
Yeah. So like the moment I start feeling like it's coming down on me,
Mhm.
my instinct is to I want to press it up because
Yeah.
I want to bail out of it. Then I'm also telling myself like, no, I'm not supposed to press it. So I
Mhm.
try to keep going. So I'm like in this like weird limbo. Like, okay, I'm kind of stuck.
Is your how are your hips feeling in that moment?
Hips are, I think it's more. Hold on.
I know, it's like I can't actually explain the feeling. I have to feel the feeling. That's a good flat pack though. So
So one's here. Oh, this one feels better, but yeah, it feels more. Okay, that one was better, but I think it's more. Uh, maybe it's more of my actual
shoulder.
shoulder, making sure that's stacked.
It might be like a thoracic mobility thing as well. That's like not a mobility place that you train like regularly. Like
Yeah,
shoulders, everyone's like, we gotta do shoulder, whatever. But like this position and like opening your chest up like this is weird. And your body is maybe not adapted to that at this moment. So it might be a practice thing, which I know is like the lamest feedback a coach can ever give you, is like, you just need to practice more and your body will adapt. But unfortunately, that is a thing that happens a lot. But like you're hinging back, that looked really good. I don't know if it felt that, but it looked really nice.
okay, that one felt best.
Yeah, that looked really smooth. No, not even a under squat. So I think just practicing and like you also made like a pretty large technical shift with that lat pack from here to here. So your body's gonna have to like get used to doing that a little bit. But that was really pretty. That was a really nice bent press. So just keep doing the things. Anyone else want to see anything else or want feedback or want me to do a thing and show you a thing? I can
You feel that bent pressing has helped your thoracic mobility?
definitely. It's definitely helped my thoracic mobility. Just because I've had to improve my thoracic mobility in order to do it. Like if I didn't improve my thoracic mobility, I wouldn't be able to do it. I think all of my mobility is better because of the bent press, but I don't think necessarily the bent press specifically improved it. I think I improved it because of the bent press. That makes sense. Um, I've incorporated a lot more mobility stuff. I do my cars a lot more diligently. Um, I've incorporated other cars because of it, like the thoracic cars, which is not one that I did before. But Peter Neiman, Icebox Kettlebell, he was like, try this one. And he's like a mobility guy. So he was like very much like, try this thing. This will help. And it has helped. Hate when that happens. You're like, damn it, they were right the whole time. So like having all of that practice and like just being forced and also just like time. Like I've been doing this. I first did this lift in 2017. So like I think putting myself in this weird position over time has just for like my body's adapted to doing that. Um, cool. Any other things? I'll show you the accessories. We talk about the accessories real quick. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me do a little screen share. Um, so we can show you the accessories. Okay, so accessories. There are like a bunch of different types of accessories. Some of them will be awesome for kettlebell, some of them will be awesome for barbell. Take what you need and leave the rest, right? So for barbell, wrist curls are kind of undefeated. And I know most of us aren't doing barbell bent presses, but that is the thing that I do all the time. Wrist curls. And planks of all kinds are going to be helpful for you. Plank and pull, plank side planks, hip dips, Copenhagen, any sort of thing to build your obliques and your core so you feel stable holding that weight. Great. Bottoms up presses, bottoms up bent presses, bottoms up holds and marches. Good. Even if you're not doing kettlebell bent presses or barbell bent presses, this is still a good thing to train. Deadlifts, RDLs, always going to be beneficial for you. Like they're always going to be good for you, but also we're practicing a hip hinge. So practicing those motions and building your hamstrings, building your glutes, will be helpful. Also like lateral, like rotational type ones, like rotational suitcase deadlifts. Suitcase deadlifts offset things to put your body into sort of weird positions, beneficial. Overhead lunge, being stable while moving the weight is going to be good, right? Like knowing that you can have this lockout while moving and like doing reps, building that stability, building that joint stacking. Waiters, holds, presses, bent presses, this weird wrist position. More so for, I would say, barbell or dumbbell, but still good. Still good for everyone. Lateral lunge, lateral swing, lateral snatch. Moving your body on that rotational and then that transverse plane of motion. It will be good for you. Being able to build your hips, build out your glutes, build that lateral strength. Great. And also, like, if you're doing like a lateral snatch, you can like lateral snatch into a windmill, right? Like, you can do all sorts of fun stuff that will be helpful. Tricep extensions and halo. Your tricep are major stabilizing muscle in that bent press. So, building that muscle. So, when you're in this weird position, it's helping because your biceps are also there, right? But your biceps are sort of bigger muscles that get used more often, right? Don't miss out on your triceps. Obviously, windmills. Windmills are going to be good. That's the second half of the lift, right? So being able to do windmills, practicing your windmills, even like weird windmills, like double windmills, bottom loaded windmills, kneeling, all of these different kinds will help you. And then reverse bent press is a little bit more advanced, I guess. But going through the lift, coming down, standing up, and then doing it in reverse. So you're kind of doing a windmill, but then you're coming down and back. Getting control, finding that time under tension, and all of that will be good. Any questions about accessories? This is sort of like a super speedy run through because I know I have questions that people wanted to ask and from the replay people. Well, any questions about accessories? I'm gonna say, oh yes, go.
Not really a question, but I think it's more of a realization, including myself. It sounds like we all don't do windmills at all.
I know. Somebody just popped in.
So just kind of like for me, like when I was in that position, I felt very, very unstable. So I think that seems to be the limiting factor for a lot of us. Not the actual like getting under the bell. It's from here. It seems like it's like the limiting
Yeah.
factor for a lot of us. So I think
Especially because you're generally going to be going heavier on a bent press than you do on a windmill, right? So like being able to practice the windmills and practicing your reps will be good for you. Like practicing and getting in like and being like, okay, I can do this for reps, right? Like not just the bent press part of it. It's gonna be always windmills are good for you. And I know that nobody likes to do them, but also they also make your shoulders feel good. So your shoulders can start being better because this is where you're ending, right? So like this is sort of the position you're in. Cool. Any more questions about this part? Ooh, okay. Questions. So I know I have questions from my non attendees. So if you have questions, also say so, but I'll start with them. Equipment that you might need. I had questions about equipment. Generally just weights, right? But if you're going heavy, I really liked having a wristband on my forearm to help relieve the pressure. I'm gonna just pop out of this because we don't need, you can just see me. It helped relieve the pressure on my forearm when I was doing heavy bent presses. Yeah, throughout the thing you saw me wearing wristbands when I was doing heavy bent presses. And that was really helpful for relieving that pressure. So my limiting factor wasn't like my fingers not being able to bend because I had 48 kilograms sitting on my wrist. For barbell, also dumbbell wrist wraps, like you would do for like a bench press, right? And getting that helps. This is a terrible. This is not how you put them on, but wrapping them here and then like adding add that wrist support, and it was really helpful. I don't recommend using them for like all of the time. Like you don't want to like start to rely on your equipment so much that you can't do it yourself. But it makes a difference, especially when you're maxing out. So, I if I'm going like over 70% of my max, I will pop them on. But if I'm going below that, I try to not add like wrist wraps or anything on my barbell bent press just to like um protect my wrist and also build the strength in my wrist as I progress. Um, which variation do I prefer on the bent press? I prefer shifting laterally. I think I've mentioned that throughout this a lot, but my personal preference and the way that I feel the most secure is shifting like this with the very normal 1 foot out way, and kind of like your torso dropping over your front leg a little bit, versus that rotation back. It just, when I first learned it, that's the way that I found felt good. And that's the way I've kind of stuck with ever since. And it just feels really comfortable for me. And it's transitioned me really well into the barbell, if that's something you're interested in doing. Because I think rotating back and doing that like squared off one would be a little bit trickier with the barbell because you have to do so much more movement, and the more you're moving, the more time the bar has to do whatever the hell it wants to do. And whatever the hell it wants to do is turn around in your hand. And it wants to rotate so bad. So the least amount of moving I can do to make it not turn in my hand is the way I'm gonna prefer. Um, is it okay to have your other arm support you and the floor? Yeah. So, um, what they're asking is when you're coming down here, can you drop your hand onto the floor? And I think that's totally fine. Here's the other thing with the bent press is there are no rules because no one's really tracking anything. So you can do whatever you want. But I think I think it's fine. You'll see if you watch me like do heavy lifts, my off working hand is doing all sorts of weird shit. It is on my leg, it's on the floor. Especially when I'm doing like higher volume training sets, it ends up on the floor. And I think that's fine. You're coming down and you're here, you'll see me doing this. You'll see me doing like this. Like it also will come down and do like here. And I don't see any problem with that. And like I said, there's not really a governing body to tell me I'm wrong. So I think that's totally totally a fine way. And it also it makes you feel more stable. Like more power to you. I know in like the old lifts, like Arthur Saxon, Eugene Sandel, they have like books about bent press, that they like to really preferred to like rest their hand on their body one way or another. So like down the leg, gripping onto the ankle. I also will grip my ankle quite a lot. And that's just to hold my position. So that might be like more comfortable than the floor if you don't want to reach all the way to the floor in that position. But they did it. They were reaching, they were grabbing like the best of the best we're doing that as well. And so I don't think there's any problem with using your environment and using the floor. It's not like you're pushing up, like it's not like you're like pressing with the floor, right? So I think that's really cool. So I want to talk about the position for the barbell one more time. Like I said, we're going across the handle here, and it's neutral for me while I'm coming up, and then once I get it on my shoulder, it's in this wrist bent position. And then it stays in this extended position the whole time. Hopefully with a little bit of extra support if I'm going heavy, right? A little extra support with the wrist wraps. And we're here, and ta-da! And it stays extended basically the whole time. Those are the questions I had from people. Were there any other questions that you had that I didn't cover? Anything I'd missed? Anything that you were like, I would love to hear more about? Whatever. I think I've timed it out pretty good, so I'm pretty pleased with myself. Yeah, go ahead.
So I know you have your stomp.
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about the stomp at all.
is that just a cue that you have for yourself, or is that
Yeah. So the thing with the stomp was that was how I learned how to do the lift. When I first did the lift, I saw it on Instagram and the guy took a step forward. So when I first learned, he went like this and he did this to help get him in that hip position, which is also like a great way to put yourself into position if this is like something you're struggling with. You can kind of like double it, right? So as the weight got heavier, it got stompier. And that's just sort of how it happened. But like, yeah, it's just when I learned the steps of the lift, he did this and then he did this. And I was like, oh, that is the step. That is the step of the lift. We just do a step. That's cool. And then everyone got very upset about it. Or they were really into it. There was no really in between. But that's literally I saw his name was John. And he when he showed the demo, he went like this and took a step forward, and I liked it. But for me, since then, it has turned into a cue. Also, stomping has been like proven to be like a thing to create muscle tension. So that's helpful. And I think consistency in your setup is like super important, especially if you're going super heavy. Like you see all the like mace people doing like this weird thing with their hands before they do heavy mace swings, right? For me, it's a stomp. When I do the barbell, I do like a weird, because I can't really stomp with a barbell, right? When I do a barbell, I sit here and I go like this, and I do like a finger wiggle, like every time. I'm doing stuff like that. That sort of put your mind in a spot that like is like, okay, we're doing this thing now. This is the thing that we're doing. This is what we do before we do this thing. And it helps me get into the position. But literally, it was like I just thought this is what we did when we did bent presses, and then like, and then it was like stomp, tip stomp, and I was like, oh, it's great. I'm glad that you all like it. Or some people were like, that seems unnecessary. I was like, it's fun, and it feels good. Like if you do a stomp, you're like, hell yeah, I'm moving some fucking weight right now.
I say everybody that took this class, just everybody just does the stomp so that we all know it's like, okay, this is the Tiffany Longcore school.
This is the Tiffness Fitness bent press
Like
team.
no, it's like, oh, I know where you got your technique from.
And like you see like in the video earlier, if you when you go back to watch the replay, my friend Peter Curtis, he does a stomp. And it was him making fun of me a little bit, but he was like actually it was helpful, and I was like, yeah, I fucking don't you. So he like this like I don't know, it's like a whole thing. People do it like on stage shows. You see like you can look up it's like bodybuilding stomp, and it like creates muscle tension. So a little bit of muscle tension, a little bit of just like habits. That I do a lot less now because you can't stomp with the barbell. you will get off kilter. I tried. And but like you find the things that sort of get you going. Same thing like when I do like max out days, I'm doing the same things over and over again. Like I'm doing the same warm up. I'm probably having the same snack. I'm probably having the same energy drink. Like I am like one of those like this is the thing that works. This is the playlist that I listen to for maxing out, and this is what works. And if it works, I'm gonna keep doing it until it stops working. Um, and then everyone just got really attached to it or not. So I just kept doing it. But I do like it. I have a hoodie that says Tiff Stomp, so uh, any other questions before we wrap this thing up? No? Okay. Let me do my one last little thing before we call it out. Um, Now, what do you want to do after this? If you would like to get more feedback from me, I offer form checks. These are all links, so you'll have the links. After form checks, you can send me a clip and I will send you back a video packed with feedback. This isn't just me like, being like, do this, this, and this. I like watch your video, I take a bunch of notes, and I like send back feedback. It's a pretty in-depth form check. It's not just some random people on Reddit sending you information and telling you to do 15 different things. It's progressive, helpful, and like I'll give you accessories and stuff. I also offer 60-minute training sessions, so if you want just time doing bent press or anything, it doesn't obviously all of this can be more than bent press. I have single sessions. I also have 3 and 5 packs of training sessions, so if you want a little time to get feedback from me on lifts, this is the way to do it. I also have a one-on-one coaching program called Forge and Flourish where you get all of those things. You get custom programming for as many days a week as you need, form checks, one-on-one sessions, all the support you need. Also, you can get to come to workshops like included if you're in Forge and Flourish as well. So you get all of the things with that, plus like messaging access and pep talks and all of the things you would probably need from a coach or possibly need from a coach because that's what we do. I really love I love writing programs, so it's a lot of fun for me. So those are lots of good ways you can work with me. If you have any questions about any of those, feel free, but those are all links so you can like see more information about it if that's something you're interested in. But thank you so much for coming. I had an absolute blast talking about bent press for 2 hours. I'm sure you're all tired of hearing my voice at this point, but I really, really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate uh, you guys coming to learn about bent press with me because I have an absolute blast talking about this lift. It's my favorite, and getting people to come to a place where I'm like, I can just talk about this weird thing that I'm really into is phenomenal for me. So thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time.
Thank you. It was fun.